धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः।
ओम सहनम भवतु सहनं भुनक्तु सह वीर्यैः करवावहै तेजस्विनाधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Let us sit down and study together. Through discussion, we sharpen each other's intellect. May we not bear any ill will to each other. Peace, peace, peace. Let peace prevail.
Yeah, that's great. Amitabh, I see that we are just beginning the 5th chapter, and Krishna, as usual, brings clarity. But before that, the 4th chapter was quite overwhelming. A lot of karma, yoga, sannyas, and all of those topics were going on. And although it was done beautifully by Krishna, but there is so much material there that it will bring this question that Arjun comes up with this question that, okay, all these things are great. It's like when Krishna talks about sannyas, that is great. When he talks about jnana, that is great. So if all this is great, which one is good for me? Which one should I follow? So I think Arjun's questions, I think we should understand Gita from Arjun's point of view. Because many times we have this intellectual point of view, but I think that's where we are, where Arjun is. It's like he's listening. We are also kind of listening to what Krishna is saying. But the question is so pertinent.
Yes, it is very, very pertinent. Remember, during this college days, we used to have something like 1.5 hour lecture and all those things.
Yeah.
Some metaphors, some examples, some personal experience, and all scattered everything. There are pearls all over. Now, how do we thread those pearls into a necklace?
Yeah.
That's what this chapter is. So I like it in a way that it summarizes, okay, what is renunciation, what is the path of action, and what is renunciation, and how we reach liberation through each of these paths. There is some superimposition, but the goal here, and truly to Hindu philosophy, is not heaven or anything like that. It is liberation and understanding our own self. The self-realization and liberation is the goal. So
Yeah.
these are the two paths that he describes and summarizes here.
Right. And I will still bring it down. He's talking about what is practical in life.
Exactly.
Like how do you live life?
Yes.
And Arjun is asking this question. You're talking sometimes that sannyas is good, which is karma sannyas, which is the path where the person doesn't carry on the mundane worldly activities like you and I.
Basically, renunciation he's talking.
Renunciation, that means they are still in the world, but they have different clothing, different symbolism. Usually they don't marry. Usually they are not working and in an office. They're kind of living a life that is different from a normal life. So that is sannyas or karma sannyas. So the word karma sannyas means they have taken sannyas from the common karmas.
Common actions. Yes.
That's why the word common, karma
Yes.
sannyas. And then there is karma yoga, which is basically you continue living life as you are, like Krishna is, like Arjun is, but is still mentally or from inside, you stay non-attached.
Yes.
So that is you can work with attachment and non-attachment. And there is a verse here that we'll come to, which talks about like what we talked about last time. There is a desire pathway and there is an internal intrinsic pathway.
Yes.
Niyatam kuru karmatvam. So you can go both paths, and both are karma yoga, sakam karma or nishkam karma. But
Yes,
this is the question that Arjun asks, and Krishna is very clear about it. He says, sannyasa karma yogascha. I mean, what he's saying is that they're both good path, but he puts karma yoga a little superior because it's easier to follow.
exactly. I mean, he talks about common people like us and Arjun and all that who are in the middle of this world. We have to do the actions that is we are ordained to. So it's an easier path. So therefore, he says this is the preferred path for most of us.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Preferred path rather than superior. So he doesn't put hierarchy, but he puts, because it's easier to follow, it's a preferred
That's
path.
right.
But, one thing here, I want to emphasize, because at least in my mind or many people's mind, the moment you take the path of sannyas or sannyasi, suddenly people feel that they are different and now they have all achieved something. But what Krishna is saying, that you start at the same level. You just path two different paths you are picking. So you are not enlightened yet. You are still on the path of enlightenment or a spiritual path. But that doesn't make you still have to work on your emotions. You still have to bring that somehow. So those criteria that help you progress in life or uplift yourself, you have to do, whether you follow karma sannyas or whether you follow karma yoga. The other question that comes here, which I love that, and I mean, I know you said that it didn't happen to you, but it happens to many of us, at least happened to me as well. There was a time when I was wanting to go on the sannyas path, but and probably Arjun is trying to do that as well. Arjun is trying to leave the path he's on. And what is the point in fighting? What is the point of this war? What is the point of having a kingdom when you have to kill so many people? I mean, this logic can really come to you very strongly. And you have to make a decision. And Krishna says that yes, it's okay to stay in the common path, in the karma yoga. You continue doing your karma, but you still follow the path of yoga. And I think that is the point that we should make here, that yes, you don't have to leave this world. And as I mentioned to you, that when I went to Kumbh, and I know many other people, my friends and their children and their known people who have kind of been drawn into this sannyas with the intention or with the understanding that this is a superior path. It is a different path. It is a preferred path, maybe for them, but they should realize that yes, you can still reach the same goal through karma yoga.
Yes, yes. I always say these things. Passivity is very addictive. Okay, and it is we can make all our logic to justify. Okay, the the important point is to understand these are two paths. We still have to walk towards our goal. So therefore, we have to still do certain things. Okay.
Yeah.
And just because of the external appearances or certain practices, one does not become superior. The goal is liberation. The goal is liberation. Therefore, we have to work towards it, as you said, and there are many, many things that we have to do during this walk to get us towards that goal.
The other point is I think I'm dwelling on it because I've seen, people make wrong decisions, and I could make wrong decision as well. But is it, when you pick a path, you have to very clear about yourself that there are two other reasons people pick path. One is it escapism or is it elitism? So are you picking a sannyas, karma sannyas, because you want to be kind of on a higher platform where people can come, worship, and offer flowers? So is there ego desire complex working there? The other is you can escape from, it becomes an escape route. You don't want to work hard in the common, life, not realizing that you still have to work hard even if you take sannyas path.
I think you hit the nail pretty good on this one. Okay. Escapism and elitism both are active in most of the people who have taken this path of renunciation. And that is the trap.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am glad that you summarize it in such a short sentence. Elitism and escapism.
Yeah.
These are also the pitfalls of this path.
No, I think we can move on. And, so I love the way Krishna answers it's like one question, one answer, but then he goes on this big explanation where, it's like people who think that these two are different, they don't understand. The goal is, as you said, goal is the same. You reach the same place ultimately, either path. I think one of the explanations or comments that I remember from Osho is that, people who go for karma sannyas, really, ideally, what actually inside the story is that they feel that, okay, for many lives, I have done this karma yoga. I have been, a sansarik person, a normal living person. I have not achieved it. So now let me try this one. So that is a good logic for those who want to do the karma sannyas. And definitely it is not an easy path. And sadhana and some, all those things are happening, and they have to have the discipline and practice. But at the same time, in Karma Yoga also, you can do sadhana, you can do ascetic ascent, as Krishna is saying, and that's what he's recommending Arjun to do. So, I mean, he makes a point that people who differentiate these two have to think again, because ultimately you get to the same goal.
Another thing I gleaned from this chapter is that many people who take this path of renunciation, the thought behind it is that they say all the actions are products of our traits.
Yeah.
And we want to be beyond the traits. So we would not do action. Okay. But the important point that is missed there, to overcome those traits, we still have to act. And there are various ways to do it. So
No,
this
that's a perfectly good point. But I think the other point to be made, which we talked before we started the session, is that when we talk about karma sannyas, we are not talking about Adi Shankaracharya. We are not talking about Gautam Buddha after his enlightenment. So they got enlightened and through that path, but they had, if you believe in reincarnation, they have been doing this for a long time, and this life they got that level. Because once you achieve there, then if you look at their karma history, how much work they did, in 33 years, Shankaracharya produced the amount of literature That's amazing. And then if you look at his travel, this from Kerala down south to Badrinath, I mean, it's like in the days of no cars and you have to kind of padal yatra, almost all of that. It is amazing what he achieved. So sometimes we feel that karma sannyas means no work, but look at the achievement, these people have. I mean, Buddha, after his enlightenment, taught for 40 years and established so many mat or stupas and other things. So they are also working. I mean, those people are also working. A common thing for both of them, and I think it is one of the key shlokas. It is slok 7, if you want to look it up. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma, vijitatma jitendriya. So, he's talking about vishuddhatma. And, yoga yukto means, it's like yog me sthapit, it's like established in yoga, pure, soul. Vijitatma jitendriya, the one who has won the indriyas, which is, the sense organs, who has control over sense organs. Sarva bhutatma bhutatma. Kurvan napina lipete. So he's non-attached in everything. So he's not talking this for one or the other. This is common to both, whether you are following the path of Karma Yoga or whether you are following the path of Karma Sannyas. You're still the indriyas need to be controlled.
I come back to my statement many a times that it is the control of ego desire and understanding who you are.
Right.
So these are the fundamental things which leads us towards this liberation. Now, the path may be two different ones, but one has to go through this purification.
And that purification is common for both paths.
Exactly.
That is my understanding here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because you still have to. I mean, when you say ego desire, the administration or indriyas are always involved, right? I mean, because that's how you execute.
Yes.
And indriyas means sense organs.
Yes.
Then, the next two shlokas are kind of an exercise. He's talking about that, the common life, whether you follow karma sannyas or the karma yoga, you still breathe, you still eat, you still kind of speak. And what he's saying, this is kind of an exercise. This is the meditation part of Gita. And I think this Gita is full of meditation. And as we talked before, that it is a guided meditation, but this is for exercise that once you start observing and watching those actions, and you can stay outside of that and realize that, yes, it is a function that keeps going. And then you can go to the mastery of your sense organs. So this is a way, once you can become outside of everything that you are doing and watch as a kind of observer to that, then that realization of non-attachment can grow on you and become easier.
Yes, very much so. Actually, that's the reason I like that 7, 8, 9, and from 20 to 27. It just summarizes this whole process that we are discussing about.
Yeah. No, very much so. And then he sometimes, it seems like, he's repeating that. But then he talks about Atma Shuddhi. I mean, sometimes I feel that Atma is always Shuddh. But maybe there is a, dust settled on the mirror, like what we see, and the mirror needs cleaning. So that's what I think he's talking about, Atma Shuddhi. because Atma itself is never contaminated. That's my understanding. You have any thoughts on that?
Yes, it is basically the ego desire complex or composite.
Yeah.
That is the dust. That is also called in Vedanta, that is called Maya or avidya.
Yeah.
Okay. And that masks our true pure consciousness that is within us, the Atman. It covers the Atman. And many a times, because it happens because we identify ourselves as the body or the namarupam, name and form, rather than understanding ourselves as Atman.
Mhm.
So this duality causes confusion. This duality makes us think that we are the doer rather than the agent for the deed and all that. So this is the this needs dusting off, and that is the Atma Shuddhi.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I love this. Yes, Karma Yoga is separate, Karma Sannyas is separate, but both of them need Atma Shuddhi, you know, and both of them
Absolutely.
need Indriyas control.
Yes.
So that is fascinating that he brings them down. What is common to both of them? 14 and 15. My understanding, and I want you to see if that's he talks about nakartitvam nakarmani lokasya srijati prabhu. He says that we have this understanding that everything is controlled by God, and he is saying that no, all these things are your. I mean, it's like in the circle of your auto regulation. You do bad things, bad thing will happen to you. I have nothing to do. God has nothing to do with this. That is my take on it. That God doesn't. This is all swabhavastu pravartate. This is nothing to do with God. Now God has given you all this if, but, if you do this, this happens. Um, then God stays out of it. I mean, he has set the rules, he has set the parameters, and in that parameter, he has given you the choice of what in US people say free will. But if you choose something, then you will follow what happens because of your choice.
Yeah. Remember we talked about the chakra, the cycle?
Yeah,
Okay. And then we talked about two components, that the cosmological events or natural events.
yeah,
And then there is in that whole cycle where we fit as a human component.
yeah,
Okay. So it is our job by our action, by our thoughts, to maintain that order in the universe. Okay, and that is the maintaining the dharma.
yeah,
Okay, and that's basically it.
yeah. No, I understand, but the fatalist, the true fatalist will say everything is predetermined. Whereas it seems like Gita gives you some freedom. If you want to progress, you can follow that path, right? If you
Yes,
want to
I
follow
mean,
regress,
yeah, it is. I mean, we have a role to play in this universe.
yeah,
Okay, we are a component, not the doer,
yeah,
but we are in our small sphere. We have to perform accordingly in this world order. And that's how we look at it. We are an agent of the deed rather than the doer,
yeah. The only thing I will add to that is we are an important part of that.
obviously.
That is important because sometimes, when you say that, the whole cosmos, you are a little dot. Yes, you are a dot, but you are an important dot. And a lot of things like butterfly effect, what you do is going to affect your surrounding and behaviors.
Remember, I talked with you about a big chemical reaction. And
Yeah,
then, if a tiny component, a catalyst, or a particular atom or molecule or the enzyme is left out, the reaction does not happen or goes in a wrong direction. So, yes, I totally agree with you. We are a small component as human in this universe, but we have to play our role to maintain this world order.
yeah. So
And that's very important.
when our rishis say Aham Brahmasmi, they are trying to say that, yes, you are important.
And the easiest way to understand this one, if we consider the whole life energy of the universe as Brahman,
Yeah.
okay, who's the creator or whatever, he runs the whole show. And a little spark of that is within us, which is the Atman.
So qualitatively, we are the same.
Qualitatively, we are the same, we have the same attribute. And the whole idea in Hindu philosophy is to search for that attribute and understand that we have the similar attribute within ourselves. That is our innate quality. And that's what makes us say that Aham Brahmasmi. It is not an egoistic statement, it's a realizing statement.
Krishna, he follows this. I mean, he still goes to a guru, and guru sharpens his skills and knowledge and everything else. So, or Ram, who we say is avatar, he became Ram from Vashishth and Vishwamitra, right? So it's not that they try to circumvent the rules created by them or constitution created by them. The best part is the distinction between karma yoga and karma sannyas. But again, he continues to say that yes, those are two different paths and one is preferable to the other, but there is so many things that are common in both of them. The point, you made one thing which I probably need a little more explanation here. Transient. So our life is transient, in the big perspective. And
Yes.
transient happiness, there's nothing wrong in transient happiness. I mean, we realize happiness is transient, sadness is transient. So that itself is not a barrier for me. I mean, if I get transient happiness, I'm okay with that. So that is that a big incentive for me to do something? That the happiness is transient. I want a deeper kind of atmanya atmanatusta kind of thing. It's always a question. I think to be more positive, I would say I want to be content. I want to be established in myself. That itself is a goal, because transient is not a barrier to me. Any thoughts? I mean, you made that point a couple of times in your summary. We
Yes.
should know that it is transient, but when something happy happens, I don't mind being happy.
No, and there's nothing wrong in being happy on that occasion,
Yeah.
but with the knowledge that this will also pass. Okay. So there is a little bit difference between contentment and happiness, bliss and happiness. We did talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay. In a blissful state, you are happy, you know that it will also pass away. You get sorry at certain situations, you also know that is going to pass away. Okay. So you get a global view of life rather than totally getting immersed into that situation and having an emotional upheaval.
Yeah.
So I always say that happiness of excitement is not bliss.
Yeah, I know you have used this word bliss. Interestingly, at least in the 5 chapters we have done, Krishna doesn't use that blissfully. He uses more like Sthitaprajna, Atmanya Vatmanatosa, or it's like he uses different words, and probably that's where you reach when you are there. I just
Exactly. It is self-contentment. You understand that. That's
Yeah,
all.
that's what he uses. I mean, bliss is a word, I'm sure it's used in many other,
Yeah.
scriptures.
We
Uh,
can say self-contentment. That's fine.
yeah,
I'm open.
yeah. No, I mean, we can say both. I'm just
Yeah,
making
sure.
that point.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
yeah. Uh, One thing for sure, is that when you see, the body language of Krishna, he is not a long-faced person.
That's right.
He's smiling, he's happy. So his expression of bliss is the same or similar to somebody being happy, rather than somebody being totally, either mask face, as you say sometimes, or a long face, which is a sad face. It's like he's not. So, and that's one of the characteristics which I love about Krishna, that he's
There's a
a
story about
non-serious person.
there's a story about Buddha that when he got his enlightenment,
Yeah,
there was a strange kind of composure, strange kind of peace and happiness or bliss around him. So
yeah,
somebody asked him that, "Are you a prophet? Are you a god?" Or somebody, he said, all that he said, "No, I'm enlightened." And that is the self-content state. I'm self-content. I understand this happen, happenings all around me in this universe, and I'm quite cognizant of this. And that gives me the peace within. So, so yes, self-contentment or the bliss that uh, carry the same meaning to me.
yeah. Now, I mean, talking about Buddha, Osho used to say that when Buddha got enlightened, he was quiet for about 3 days or something.
Yes.
And the struggle he had, or was it a struggle, or the decision he had to make at that time, is what to do with that knowledge that he has.
Exactly.
And so he chose to spread the word, and he had the talent to do that. And
Yes.
according to Osho, there were 80 other people, 80, in those times who were enlightened at the same level as Buddha, who had chosen not to go and speak. They were still working for the welfare of the society, but in a silent manner. So it's even there, people, they have to make decision what to do, speak or not to speak. Um, they definitely speak doesn't mean boasting.
That's right. It's basically sharing knowledge.
Yeah.
It's warning them or cautioning people about the pitfalls. That's what it is.
Or showing them the way.
Yes. And
I
that
mean,
is not a
pitfalls is one
demonstration
thing,
of
but showing
ego.
them the path to, how they reach there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The one I love, especially because I love meditation, as you know, is 27 and 28. That's a technique. And
Yes.
that's one of the techniques, one of the important techniques for meditation in Gita. And he talks about, the meditation and focusing on the third eye, which is um, the mantra for third eye, not mentioned here, is Om. But he says that, yes, if you can center yourself in the third eye, between the two eyes and here, like that place, close your eyes and center, and establish your breathing in a pran and apan. And he doesn't necessarily talk about closing the eye. You can focus on this, on the nose, like half closing. This is half closing is the same technique that Buddha also used to focus on, that, half closing the eye, because once you close, you may go to sleep. So this technique, I think I would love people who are listening to go in, read 27, 28, and practice it. I mean, practice for a week and you'll feel amazing experience. Because some of these meditations, it's not explainable, the feelings, by words, because it takes you to a different realm. So I think it's worth practicing. And Amitabh, of course, the last verse, of course, is amazing. It's like Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhritam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shanti Mrichiti.
Mamaka